just as I was pulling my hair into a loose bun, ready to head out for a quiet dinner with my husband. It was my birthday, and while I hadn't planned anything big deep down, I had hoped for at least a call from my parents. When I glanced at the screen, my chest tightened. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us, what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. Sorry, we're busy with your sister's dinner tonight. We'll catch up later. Happy birthday, that was it. No phone call, no warmth. Just a flat message reminding me yet again that my sister Claire was the center of their universe. My fingers trembled around the phone, but I didn't respond. I just set it face down on the counter, forcing myself not to cry. Who was that? My husband Daniel asked, stepping out of the bedroom with his blazer half-buttoned. He always looked put together, but tonight there was something different in his tone. Measured, almost cautious. I gave a weak smile. Mom, she's busy with Claire's dinner. Again. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he didn't push. He knew. He'd seen it for years. The way my parents treated me like an afterthought while showering Claire with praise and attention. Still, he walked over, kissed my temple, and whispered, "They don't deserve your tears." I swallowed hard and nodded, though my throat burned. We drove in silence, the city lights blurring outside my window. I couldn't shake the weight pressing down on my chest. My own birthday and my family couldn't spare an evening. I felt invisible, like I always had. At the restaurant, Daniel insisted on taking the seat with his back to the ocean so I could face the view. I stared out at the rolling waves, pretending their rhythm was soothing, but inside I was spiraling. The waiter poured us wine, set down the menus, and left. Daniel reached across the table, took my hand, and said softly, "You deserve better than the scraps they give you." My eyes watered, but before I could answer, he pulled a sleek folder from his briefcase and slid it across the table. Confused, I blinked at it. "What's this?" "Open it," he said, his lips curving into a rare, mischievous smile. I flipped it open and froze. Inside were glossy documents stamped with a seal I didn't recognize at first, until I read the header. Property deed, oceanfront residence, Malibu. My breath caught. "Daniel." "It's ours," he said, leaning in. His voice was steady, almost proud. "Happy birthday, Emily. I wanted to give you something that no one can take away from you. A place that's yours, where their opinions don't matter." My hand flew to my mouth. A beach house in Malibu. My family had always treated me like the unsuccessful daughter, the one who just married well. But this wasn't just a house. It was proof that I wasn't the failure they painted me to be. Tears blurred my vision as I whispered, "Daniel, this is too much." "No," he cut me off gently. "This is exactly what you deserve." After dinner, we drove straight there. My hands shook as I unlocked the glass doors, stepping barefoot onto the polished wood floors that opened to a sweeping view of the Pacific. Moonlight shimmered across the water, spilling through the windows like silver fire. Daniel wrapped his arms around me from behind. "Happy birthday, Emily." In that moment, something hardened inside me, not bitterness, but resolve. For years, I had begged for scraps of affection from my family, humiliated myself trying to win their approval. But standing there in my beach house, I realized I didn't need them. Not anymore. I pulled out my phone. Daniel raised a brow. "What are you doing?" I smiled faintly, opening the family group chat. My mother, father, and Claire were always active, sending photos of their perfect dinners, their expensive wine nights, their endless celebrations. This time, it would be me. I snapped a photo of the view, endless ocean framed by the glow of our new living room. Then I typed just 4 words, "Celebrating differently tonight," and I hit send. It took less than a minute. My phone lit up like fireworks. Claire. "Wait, whose place is that?" "Mom." "Emily, what do you mean?" "Celebrating what?" "Dad. Where are you? I didn't reply. Daniel chuckled low in my ear. Looks like you finally have their attention. But I wasn't smiling. My chest was pounding not from fear but from something sharper, something more intoxicating. For once, they were the ones chasing me, and it felt incredible. The sound of waves crashing outside should have been soothing, but my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I glanced at the glowing screen. 20 missed messages in less than 5 minutes. The family chat was exploding. Claire. Seriously, where are you? Whose house is that? Mom, Margaret. Emily, don't be dramatic. Just tell us. Dad, Robert. Is this another one of Daniel's rentals? Don't embarrass yourself. Daniel leaned back on the couch, his arms stretched lazily across the cushions. They're spiraling, he said with a grin. You've got them right where you want them. But my pulse hammered in my ears. Years of being dismissed, overlooked, and belittled, it all came rushing back. My parents never believed in me, never gave me an ounce of credit. And now? Now they were scrambling to make sense of the one thing they never expected, me standing on my own 2 feet. I typed slowly, deliberately. Me. It's not a rental. It's home. And then I put the phone down, refusing to explain further. Daniel poured 2 glasses of champagne he'd pulled from the fridge. He handed me one and said, "To celebrating differently." We clinked glasses, the sound sharp and satisfying. I took a long sip, savoring the bitterness that melted into warmth, and for the first time in years, I felt powerful. The phone buzzed again. A video call this time, from Claire. Answer it, Daniel said calmly, his eyes steady on mine. I hesitated but swiped. Claire's face filled the screen, perfectly made up even at night. Behind her I could see the glow of my parents' dining room, crystal glasses lined up on the table, a cake in the background, Claire's dinner, the one they'd chosen over my birthday. Her voice was sharp. Emily, what's going on? Why are you posting houses like that? I lifted the phone slightly, angling it so the view behind me, floor-to-ceiling glass, the endless stretch of ocean, dominated the screen. Because this is where I'm celebrating, her jaw dropped. You're lying. Daniel leaned into the frame, his voice calm but unyielding. No, she's not. For a moment, Claire faltered. I watched her eyes flicker with something I rarely saw. Envy. Then came my mother's voice, muffled but insistent in the background. Let me talk to her. Claire turned the camera. Margaret appeared, her face tight, eyes narrowed. Emily, why didn't you tell us about this? I clenched my jaw. Because you were too busy with Claire's dinner. The silence that followed was deafening. My father's voice cut in from somewhere off-screen, stern and dismissive as ever. You didn't buy that house. Daniel did. Don't act like this is your achievement. My chest burned, but Daniel spoke before I could. His tone was even, measured, but edged with steel. Actually, Robert, Emily's name is on every single document. Half the payment came from her own investments, the ones she built while you all were busy pretending she'd never succeed. The line went quiet. I could practically hear the collective gasp. My mother's lips parted, but no sound came out. Claire blinked rapidly, her perfect composure cracking. I didn't give them time to recover. You didn't even call me on my birthday. But tonight I'm not the forgotten daughter. I'm not the one you dismiss. I'm standing in my home, celebrating with someone who believes in me. With that, I ended the call. My hands shook, but not from fear, from adrenaline. From finally saying the words I'd swallowed for years. Daniel reached over, gently covering my trembling hand with his steady one. You just turned the tables, Em. They're the ones scrambling now. I exhaled shakily, staring out at the moonlit waves. And he was right. For once, I wasn't chasing their approval. They were chasing me. The phone buzzed again, message after message lighting up the screen. Mom. Emily, we didn't mean to hurt you. Can we talk? Dad, don't be childish. Call us back, Claire. You could have at least told us first. This is so petty. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. Petty? After years of being treated like a shadow? Daniel tilted his glass toward me. Let them stew. Tonight's yours. And so I let the phone buzz until the battery drained, until the screen went black. I wasn't going to let them steal this moment. We sat out on the deck, the ocean air cool against my skin, the sound of the tide pulling me deeper into a peace I hadn't known before. For the first time, I celebrated my birthday not by begging for their scraps of attention, but by reclaiming my worth. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. My family would not take this humiliation lightly. They'd push back, demand explanations, twist narratives. And when they did, I would finally decide if I wanted to let them in again, or shut the door forever. Tonight was only the beginning. The next morning, sunlight poured through the glass walls of the beach house, golden streaks dancing across the hardwood floor. I stretched, expecting quiet, only to hear the faint buzz of my phone vibrating against the counter. I groaned. Daniel was already awake, standing by the window in a crisp shirt, sipping coffee as if he'd been waiting. "Your family," he said without turning. "They haven't stopped since sunrise." I picked up the phone. Dozens of missed calls. Texts filling the screen. Mom, Margaret. Emily, please, we just want to talk. Dad, Robert. This is immature. Family should stick together. Claire. We're coming over. Don't make this worse, I froze. They're coming here? Daniel set his cup down slowly. Let them. It's about time they see you on your terms. My chest tightened, but deep down I agreed. Running from them hadn't worked before. Maybe it was time to face them, here, where I finally had the upper hand. By noon, a black SUV rolled up the driveway. I stood on the balcony as the doors opened. My parents stepped out first, dressed in expensive clothes that screamed pride and entitlement. Claire trailed behind, phone in hand, already recording, her lips curled into a smug half-smile. Daniel appeared beside me, calm as ever. You don't have to open that door if you don't want to. But I did. I wanted to. I opened the glass door just as they reached the steps. The ocean wind whipped my hair back, my heartbeat loud in my ears. Emily, my mother said sharply, her voice already trembling. Why would you blindside us like this? I held her gaze. You mean by having a life outside your dinner table? Claire scoffed. Oh, come on. You don't even like the beach. This isn't you. You're just trying to one-up me. She lifted her phone. Everyone can see how ridiculous this is. Her words cut, but not the way they used to. Instead, they fueled me. I stepped forward. Ridiculous? You mean finally being seen? For once, I'm not sitting in the shadows while you soak up all the spotlight. And you... I turned to my mother, my voice sharp. You didn't even call me on my birthday. You threw a dinner for Claire instead. Do you know how that feels? My mother's lips parted, but no words came out. Then my father broke the silence, his tone firm and dismissive. You're blowing this out of proportion. A house doesn't change anything. Daniel bought this, not you. Daniel's voice cut in, smooth and controlled. Actually, Robert, Emily bought half. Her investments have been growing for years, but you never cared enough to ask. The color drained from Claire's face. My father's eyes narrowed, but he stayed quiet. My mother glanced between us, clearly unsettled. I took a step closer, my voice trembling with restrained emotion. You've spent years treating me like I'm nothing. Like I'll never measure up to Claire. But look around. I gestured to the glass walls, the endless horizon beyond. This isn't Daniel's achievement. This is ours, mine. For once, they had no comeback. Just silence, broken only by the crash of waves below. Claire finally muttered, You could have at least told us before blasting it online. I laughed bitterly. Why? So you could belittle me in private instead of scrambling in a group chat? Daniel placed a hand on my shoulder, grounding me, steadying me. My father's jaw tightened. Family is family. Don't forget who raised you. I swallowed the lump in my throat, anger and hurt warring inside me. Raised me? You raised me to believe I wasn't enough. To beg for crumbs while Claire got the feast. Well, those days are over. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. For the first time in my life, my family looked small before me. Hesitant, unsettled, almost powerless. Finally, my mother whispered, Emily, can we at least come inside? I glanced back at Daniel, then at the shimmering ocean behind him. The truth hit me like a wave. I held the power now, and maybe, just maybe, I wasn't ready to let them in. "I think you should leave," I said quietly but firmly. "This house is my safe place, and you don't get to ruin it." Their faces fell, a mixture of shock and disbelief. Claire lowered her phone, stunned. My father clenched his jaw, my mother's eyes watered, but I didn't flinch. Daniel stepped beside me, his arm brushing mine. "You heard her." His voice was final, absolute. My family turned slowly, retreating back toward the SUV. For once, their shoulders weren't high with arrogance. They slumped. I watched them drive away, my pulse pounding, my hands shaking, but my chest lighter than it had ever been. For the first time, I hadn't let them decide my worth. I had. And the silence they left behind was louder than any words they could have spoken. The driveway was empty again, the black SUV just a memory against the endless stretch of coast. I stood at the balcony railing, my hands gripping the cold steel, the ocean roaring beneath me like it was applauding what had just happened. Daniel slipped an arm around my waist. His voice was quiet, steady. "How do you feel?" I exhaled, the breath trembling out of me. Lighter. Like I finally said everything I've swallowed for years. And it was true. For so long, I'd been waiting for my parents to validate me, to treat me as more than the forgotten child. But today I didn't need them. I had stood tall, looked them in the eye and told them the truth. For once I wasn't the one begging. They were. The phone buzzed on the counter inside. "A new message, Mom. Margaret. We didn't mean to hurt you. We want to make things right." I stared at the words. A year ago, even a month ago, I would have leapt at this. I would have driven across town just to hear them say those words in person. But now I saw it differently. They weren't apologizing because they realized my worth. They were apologizing because they lost control. Daniel walked over, picked up the phone, and read the message. He set it back down without a word, his eyes meeting mine. He didn't tell me what to do. He didn't push me either way, he just let me choose. And that silence gave me the answer. "I don't need them to make things right," I whispered. "I need me to keep things right," Daniel smiled faintly. "Then that's what we'll do." We spent the rest of the afternoon barefoot on the sand, the ocean pulling at the edge of our footprints, erasing every trace behind us. Each wave that washed over my toes felt like it was cleansing me, stripping away the years of feeling small, of being overshadowed. When the sun began to sink, casting the sky in streaks of orange and gold, I snapped another photo, the waves crashing, the horizon endless. I posted it without words, no explanation, no caption, just the image of where I stood now. The family chat lit up again, questions flying, demands for answers. But I didn't even open it. I deleted the thread instead. It felt like slamming a door on years of pain. That night, Daniel grilled fish on the deck while I poured us 2 glasses of wine. We ate under the stars, the sound of the ocean carrying through the air, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was missing something. I wasn't the daughter who got overlooked. I wasn't the sister who came second. I wasn't the woman waiting for approval. I was Emily Carter. And I had my own life, my own happiness, my own worth. As I leaned into Daniel's shoulder, I realized something deeper. Revenge wasn't about destroying them. It was about freeing myself. And I had. The waves kept crashing. The stars kept burning. And in that silence, I finally celebrated